So this is one thing we kind of mentioned it with Darian, the amount of dropbacks that Pat had on Sunday. Second all time as far as passing attempts in a game. First all time was Drew Bledsoe at 70 back in like 94, I believe, which is kind of crazy. 94 throwing 70 times is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
They must make it shellacked, I think. The only time to throw 70 times back in the early mid-90s, you're probably getting shellacked.
No doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it.
So my question is that the big thing that I've seen a lot of different talking heads say is that we're putting too much on Pat's shoulders. And my counter to that is he's a $500 million man. So like nothing's too much for this guy. Like sometimes, Kobe, LeBron, Iverson, Jordan, all the best have to put the team on their back at some point and will them to victory. And that's what Pat did this week. So my question is to you, JD, do you think we are putting too much on Pat?
You know what? Actually, I do. I really do. And for the simple fact, not saying that he can't do it. All right. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the ability and he can't do it. I don't want us going into where all of a sudden we are putting everything on his shoulders, because he is a $500 million guy and he is what the Chiefs go through. And so the more he runs, like I said, the more he gets hit, the more that you are hurting that our investment, that our Superman. You're hurting this guy. And so I don't want to put that much emphasis, especially when you got guys around you that have the ability to take some of that weight off his shoulders. And so, we know he could get the ball out, 70 times, 60 times. He could throw it, he has the ability to do it. What comes with that is, like I said, the pass rush. It comes with the running, it comes with the sliding, it comes with the hits. Everybody's not going to play clean. There's going to be guys that are dirty. The guys are going to hit him. They're going to hit him after the whistle. And that's what I don't like. I don't like, at least, being in a position for something like that to happen. That's the only reason. And so does he care? I know he doesn't care. He would do it. I know he'll put it on his back. And when guys aren't making plays, he's going to make a play. And it's good for him to go out and make plays. I'm just saying, like, you know what? I'm sure other guys like, look, you know what? Pat shouldn't have to have everything on his shoulders. He shouldn't have to come to that. And so, hey, give me the football. Hand the ball off to me, or somebody like I'll get open. Pat, throw the ball to me. And so guys may have to check themselves like, look, man, we need to help out a little bit more than what we're doing. They're not saying guys are slacking. I'm not saying that at all. But you just want to make sure, we're not in that position where he is throwing the ball 60-something times or running the ball 10 or 15 times for the first down. I don't want 15 doing that. I want him to be here as long as possible. And I hate to see something happen like, what happened to Josh Allen. So many things in football to happen was different from the NBA. NBA is a different sport. It's not as physical as football. And so, yeah, LeBron could go put it on 35 for the night. Well, he's just shooting jumpers, right? He's going in the paint. He'll make a business decision. Maybe he shouldn't go in the paint that much, and he won't. So he'll pull up for, 15-footer mid-range. So that's why it's different from the NBA when you're talking about guys like that as opposed to like NFL. Because you start thinking about quarterbacks that put things on their shoulders, like Cam Newton, right? You start wearing a guy like that out. You don't want like a guy Mike Victor start getting hits. And so when you start seeing things like that, you want guys that are your value getting hit. I think that's why when people were talking about Lamar Jackson, hey, look, you know what? He's going to put it on himself. He's going to bet on himself. Yeah, that's cool, but there's no guarantee that he's not going to get hurt. So that's why you should go get the money first before anything else, right? It's just a business decision. It's a better business decision than that. And that's how I look at it. So do I think that we utilizing him too much? I just don't want us to do that. I don't think we need to do that, especially with the core group of guys we got around him. Mm-hmm. Long answer, but there it is.
Oh, that's a beautiful answer. I mean, and also it ties into other things we've talked about, the running game. You have a running game, you don't throw 68 times a game. Right. And then it also takes all the pressure off the tackles, which we talked about in that interview with Kinnard, yes, that they're not having to drop at that, going to blocking, pass protection 68 times a game. Because, chances are you drop back 68 times, there's going to be a lot of sacks, which, that's going to happen when you drop back 70 times.
It's going to be a lot of sacks. There's going to be a lot of guys pushing on each other's legs, just following each other's legs all the time, man. It's just when you get into that, when especially the integrity of a pocket and it collapses, man, there's a lot of things that can happen in that. It just can. And so, like you said, you're putting those tackles on the island that many times. Shoot, guys, it's not necessarily reasonable to think that a guy's going to be perfect playing tackle, when he has to pass block 70-something times a game. I'm sorry. It's just not, I know playing that, it's a hard business. It's a hard, when Kinnard was talking about, man, statistically, it's not in our favor. These guys are going forward. We are going backwards. We got to be perfect on every little thing to try to do. Not saying the guys are not, worried about that, but it does come into play. You got to understand, what you're doing. So,
yeah, and hopefully the running game gets figured out at some point. But that's something we beat to a pulp with that.
I know it, but we keep saying it until it changes. I mean, and I don't think they'll incorporate a little bit more. I think they know that they have to incorporate a little bit more. I'm sure they're talking about it, that they have to do it. So I think maybe in the next few weeks, this week against Jacksonville will be a great game to try to establish the run, right? Try to get back into a little bit more of that, incorporating some of the run plays, coming downhill and coming off the football against this defense.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who comes out as the maybe not the guy who gets the most snaps. Cause maybe this played into it. The fact that we dropped back 68 times, the fact that McKinnon was the number one guy by a large margin between Pacheco, McKinnon, and CEH, who got the most snaps. It was McKinnon, Pacheco, then CEH. Maybe, I don't know, maybe CEH gets the chance at the being the main guy again. I don't know. They have to figure something out.
Yeah, well, McKinnon's in there because he's a better pass blocker out of everybody. So that's the reason he got the majority of the snaps. Pacheco, when he started out, it looks good, and some of the things that he was doing. CEH should I come in, and I know it's hard to get into like that rhythm when you're not doing it all the time. You're not that guy all the time. And I think it's where it's different. So guys got to almost like, look, I know I'm only going to have like 10 snaps at this. And so when I got to make the most out of my 10 snaps, not that I'm overthinking it, but I just got to, I got to make sure that I'm running hard. I'm getting yards. I'm not stopping, because I'm not getting 20 carries a game. If I'm getting 8, let's make it the best 8 I could possibly do.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're seeing that across the league. It's like, because I see some people that comment on our running game, the fact that like, oh man, well, no one's getting a rhythm because each guy's getting 3 carries. And like, yeah, 3 carries, whatever. But like, that you need to get someone, 15 to 20 carries. Like, yeah, that's great and all, but like, that's not where the league is anymore. I mean, there's like, I think only one team I see really does that. Right now, it's a rookie, that Dameon Pierce. I mean, he's the only back, I think. Well, and Henry too. So Henry and Dameon Pierce, the only ones I'm seeing who are getting like 20 plus carries this year. Right. Taylor was last year, but Taylor's been hurt a lot this year. So I mean, it's just moving away, like kind of what you and Darian said. It's just totally different from what it used to be. We have to kind of get that like out of our heads, because that bell cow running back is pretty much done. That's not happening.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a balance, right? You look at, like Josh Jacobs is getting that. He's getting some carries. Eckler's getting some carries. Of course, up in Green Bay, you had, Aaron Jones and Dillon is getting some carries. And so, you see certain teams that are saying, okay, look, we can't abandon this all the way. Even if we have a good pass catching back, then we're going to do that too. And so, shoot, Cleveland, right? I mean, they don't really have no choice, but they got to, Chubb is killing it out there. Yeah. When Kareem comes in, it's just a good, good combination of guys. Yeah. So there's still some guys that run in the league. It's just, just where our offense is. It's just kind of, but it's like, we don't want to be too much of one thing, right? Like, you just don't want to be too much of one thing. It's what, like, Tennessee is too much of one thing. Like, Derrick Henry, you stop them, now you put it on Malik Willis or Tannehill to beat you in the passing game. If they don't have the receivers, then okay, then that's a whole different thing. But
yeah. It's funny, actually, you mentioned that game Sunday night epitomizes 2 different types of offenses. One is the total opposite end with the running style, and then you have the total opposite end passing style. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy that was just so different.
Right.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.